Thanks for staying with us. So the conversation concerning power will put on hold until we get an official for many of these major sectors, either the GENCOs, the TCN, and the DISCOs, because we need clarity on what happened and what is being done, and how long would it take for normalcy to restore, if at all. Moving on to another topic, which is also very, very important, is the issue of insecurity and even the influx of a lot of beggars on the streets of Lagos. I don't know much about other parts of the country, but we're talking about Lagos today because many reports have come forward about how there's so many of them on the streets of Lagos, and how this could actually portend some kind of insecurity for many citizens going about their daily business. If you've experienced this, we'd like to hear your thoughts on this. You can call us on 08127053687, 09139076694. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweet. Somebody please start this conversation.
So it is an extremely, it's a very sad thing that we're seeing. So there are like 2 or 3 categories of people that do this. Of course, there are the hoodlums, who you will know from their faces that these are the good boys of Lagos. These ones, I feel, the police and the security apparatus should deal with them. They are the ones that tend to go to crime. Then there's the category of children, which is the one that I'm most concerned about. You see children, you see their mothers sit on the curb with a baby. You will see them sit like maybe at like the more comfortable under the shade. And then these children are the ones on the street hustling and begging, hitting your window and saying, just give me some, just a little, like I want to eat. And I just feel, and the mother is backing one, holding one, 2 on the streets. And you're wondering, why are these people allowed to just procreate like this with no source of livelihood on the streets morning to evening, obviously sleeping somewhere and somebody is the agent collecting money over them? We know there's a racket. So these are the people that are the vulnerable that I feel should be taken up and should be dealt with. We shouldn't have children on the streets of Lagos, especially within, if you are talking that Lekki axis, every used to be roundabout is a group of, a cartel of people that they are doing a business of begging. And these, for me, are the people we should deal with. They should be taken off the streets. Where are they living? It's impossible for us not to know where they are living now. And we're breeding the next generation of either prostitutes or thugs. And we're already, like we're seeing the blueprints. 4-year-old, 5-year-old on the streets, no school. What would they do?
Let's go on a break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still talking about this issue of beggars on the streets and the fact that this could pose some type of insecurity on many Nigerians. So Mariam was going to say?
Yeah, so as I was saying, I was just trying to say that right now we have a problem on our hands. We have children who are begging. We have young boys who are involved in all sorts of petty crimes and big crimes. And we're asking, because Topper was saying that we need to stop the people just giving birth. And I was just trying to establish where these people are coming from. Who are they? And I have had the opportunity to work with a few people who have come from, the Northeast area. And if you get to sit down and talk with them more, you find out that a lot of them have lost parents. And they're the only surviving family member in their house. Or they're the oldest and they're trying to fend for their younger ones. And so they have found a way to come to Lagos. Either they get a bike or they work as security men, or some of them become, hoodlums and they get into all sorts of crime. So the problem is, I don't think the way to handle this issue is, who are these people? Take them off the streets. You cannot take them off the streets and they will disappear. You have to handle the problem. So there are different levels. It's either first of all, we need to get data. Where are they coming from? Can we take them back to the places that they are coming from? The area where they are, the IDP camps, are they habitable enough for these young boys and these young girls coming into Lagos? We have the governor of Zamfara State saying that at the IDP camps, you're trying to teach them different skills acquisition. States like Lagos, that has a huge number of them coming here, can have a partnership like a Zamfara State and say, we have a number of people that have come from this state, from the IDP camps, because they need something to work with. We will send them back because Zamfara State is already doing the work of making sure that they will get skills. They will be properly housed. I know that different states have that where they're trying to also give them families to house them. Now, when we also talk about out-of-school children, where do you think out-of-school children end up? So this problem is not a put them in a box and ship them away. This problem is a whole Nigerian problem where we have to deal with one after the other, and different stakeholders have to be involved. Because they are Nigerian citizens, you cannot send them away. We cannot do them like Ukraine and say only white people can get on a bus. They will tell you that they are Nigerians just like you and they are allowed to live anywhere. But if you live in a place that there are things you need to do, you must have either an education, you are gainfully employed, you are skillfully, you have something legitimate that you're doing. You're not posing, you're not a nuisance, you're not a criminal in society. And if you are, you will be arrested. But then if we pack all these people who have committed crime and then lock them up in overcrowded prisons, then what have we done eventually when they come out? So there's a huge problem, and the problem has to start from source. We need to find places for these people to be housed, to be gainfully employed, and to be able to go to school.
So something has to be done, certainly. And we cannot continue to say to Lagos, anytime they find an alternative or an option of how to deal with it, that Lagos cannot take it. Because it was under our very before, El-Rufai shipped children back to state of source. Ganduje sent some back to state of source. They were shipping our Madrid children between states because they said they had security concern. The influx of these people into Lagos is now a security concern. If you do not have a plan of why you're migrating somewhere, you don't have a place to sleep, a kind of job legitimate that you can do, you can't just come and be on the express. And I'm talking about the old Badagry Express before the construction work started. In the middle of Badagry Express, just after Lasu, you can be raped on the express. Someone had that experience, and I couldn't believe the narration. Just between the shanties, and she was crossing, and she disappeared, and before she came out, something had been done. You know, the worst part is that you report a crime, and the people do not have an address. The police cannot, that crime is going to remain unsolved because they cannot go to one place and say, it was here, or you arrest. The crowd of numbers has to be controlled. And you cannot tell Lagos, how do you want to control it? Lagos too must be very clear. These kinds of jobs are no longer allowed here. So people don't just come and sleep. See, what I witness.
There are buses coming into Lagos every single day.
Buses. See, let me explain to you.
How does Lagos stop them at the entrance?
At the entrance of coming. Lagos has control of parks. Lagos must take control and work in collaboration with the people controlling these parks. They know. See, what you see in the morning is that as soon as they come, people come with bikes. They offload those bikes, and then they bring out a duvet.
But there's freedom of movement in our constitution. There's freedom of movement in the constitution that allows you to stay anywhere. So you can't really stop anybody from entering the state and say,
so if it was a security concern, and El-Rufai, in this last year, Ganduje, all the northern governors had to ship children back to source. So why can't Lagos do the same for the sake of its citizens?
So I hear you, and because we don't want to contravene human rights, because we know that there will be human rights. There will be human rights consequences. We've had former Governor Fashola do something similar in saying, if we find you sleeping under the bridge, we find you not having anywhere to sleep, and you cannot say, this is what I'm doing. They gather them and ship them to their last known address. And people criticize them. I supported it because I felt that we cannot, Lagos State is overburdened with the population influx, that it is, every infrastructural development that you are doing is overwhelmed. The hospitals are overwhelmed. And what's the budget? So Lagos State is having to carry the burden of inefficient governments in other states. So the governors in that state are not working, or they are overpowered, and then they come to Lagos, and Lagos will now have to say, we will stretch ourselves over and over again to accommodate them. But I feel that I've seen the Western world do this thing. Because they want to reduce your migration to their country, what they will do is ensure that they give aid to you in your state. So
Lagos cannot give aid to another state.
No.
Lagos is not the federal government. That's why we're asking for regional government, so that we can have a where things are a bit more.
That's another option.
Absolutely. So I can have better control.
Options.
So everybody can develop at their own pace and be able to take care of their citizens. Yeah, that's a different angle. But the point on this matter is the fact that the scarce resources in Lagos State are being they have to be stretched for these people. Because the truth is that Lagos State has a plan to take children off the streets. He said, leave no child behind. Yeah. Project Zero that they're doing. I was privileged to go on the campaign, one of them, to give the school uniforms, school bags, school shoes to these people. I followed them. As you are dropping it for them, tomorrow another 100.
And that set would come.
And that set to come.
We need to document these people. We need documentation and we need shelters. So if we find you on the street, if you are not documented, if you are not in a shelter, we will arrest you. Then it will be a crime. If you're on the street, what are you doing on the street?
Government cannot afford the shelter.
Even if it's a crime, where are you going to put them? Is it the same prison?
No, not prison. They'll take them to their states.
Rehabilitation. Yes. See, we need to do this. See, I know that we are overstretched in Lagos, in Nigeria as a whole. We're complaining about everything. But we need to, but we have an issue on our hands. Concerning these children that are coming here, I say children because some of the stories I've heard, most of them are children. So they are coming here.
Children can be
we must find out if they do have parents, they must go back. They should go back, but then they should not. No, some of them are not without parents. Some of them are orphans.
No.
Then secondly, for those that are here, we must create shelters. We must have food banks. We must have soup kitchens. We must have places that they can go feed themselves. We must have places that they can acquire skills. We must find places that they can be trained, educated, so that if they find themselves in society, they are positively impacted, positively, what's the word now? You know, giving to the society, not being criminals. But if they're criminals, we have to look for rehabilitation centers for them.
Let me pause you for a second.
Oyinbo people have foster homes.
You see, this Oyinbo thing there, we have to really calm down.
So what will we do? We will not ship them when they come back.
No, we need to wake up and smell the coffee for heaven's sake. So what do we do? Where is the money?
Exactly.
Where? Okay. So what do we do? My point is that it is a very nice, lofty, flowery idea to have this nice soup kitchen here, have this nice shelter here, but it's not that realistic.
Who is going to fund it?
That's actually basic.
That is basic, but we don't have it.
Okay, ban on begging.
We don't have it. Let me take.
And if the person fails to be at the soup kitchen,
I have to
have no business. Begging is a business.
Let me pause. I have to be. B is a holy brand. B, are you there?
And come back, please.
Good morning, B. Are you there? Sorry for keeping you for so long. B, are you there?
Sorry, B.
Oh, I do apologize. They lost that call.
So begging is a business. They come into Lagos and they have a registrar. They pay daily to somebody.
Communities.
In 2002 or so, a family friend of mine from Kebbi, unfortunately, were looking for their grandmother in Kebbi. A friend had visited her and said, no, I know where your child lives in Lagos. Do you want to see? She said, yes. And they brought her here. She ended up in one inner street somewhere in Agege, made to beg. Before they found that woman, she was crying daily, but she was made to beg and deliver. And she's only giving food daily. So we cannot pretend that this is not a cartel. It's a cartel. Okay. Now, this is it. Lagos has to be very deliberate about what they are banning. We don't want bikes. We don't want it. We don't want begging on our streets. We don't want it. You create alternatives. Wait, Morayo. To solve a problem, you have to spend money. So if you have a food kitchen, for instance, and somebody is still begging, then that person can be shipped off to wherever. It becomes a security concern. The truth is, the numbers without data, addresses, and location continue to be a security risk to Lagos.
You see, it's very interesting. It's quite interesting to hear you say that, because I was here when they tried to ban these bikes. On this same table, we criticize them. Why would you ban Nigerians?
We criticize those that were registered now. Those
Nigerians, sometimes we talk with two sides of our mouth.
No.
That's the truth.
No.
1 second, ban the bikes. 1 second, ship them out. No, don't ship them out.
Why is delay the alternative that Lagos proposed?
The problem in this same country, Mariam, let me come to Mariam for a second. In this same country, we're saying, okay, we have a 40 billion naira budget in Lagos State. Okay, they want to build hospitals. We don't have enough hospitals and equipment in our hospitals. We don't have enough roads. Electricity is bad. We are trying to see how we can ensure that we can generate our own electricity. There's so many issues. You're not saying that you use that money to do soup kitchen.
Okay.
I would say, where are the rich people who are not
we have a Nigerian governors forum. What are we discussing?
This is a problem.
This is what you should be discussing. This is a problem to me. Let it be on the table when governors are sitting down to talk to each other.
I have
northern governors. This is
I have 100,000 citizens of your state with me.
Coming into my I have a number of citizens, 100,000 coming into my state every time, and I cannot afford to have them. What do we do? So I'm sitting down with a Borno State governor, Zamfara State governor, and then we're looking for how to solve this issue. When we see the problem with these people migrating back and forth within Nigeria is that we've made it so informal. That's why we cannot handle it. And concerning many things in Nigeria, we keep it so informal. We don't document, we don't have data, and it overwhelms us. It is not a lofty idea talking about shelters and soup kitchens. It's actually really just basic. What do people in shelters need? They just need a place to lay their heads at night so that during the day they can go and find work or get work. We have a social work and social services that countries do. That's because for people like this, so that you're able to get them properly engaged, and then anyone outside this system would be arrested or taken back for crime if possible.
So I hear you. What I've heard you say so far is that imagine we have a database of those who are coming in and out. So we now look at this one is
they're coming in, this one.
We know that they're coming in to the states. So imagine a governor, Soli, for example, is having a meeting with the NGM and say, okay, I have 40% of these people coming in from your state. I have 20%. I have a database. And these are their names. This is what they are. These are the conditions. What can you do? So we have the numbers. That's what you're saying. Now, you're also saying that we should also build some kind of shelter. I will also ask, how many of these shelters can we actually build? How many of these shelters can we sufficient for these millions of states that are coming every month?
Okay, so we'll start somewhere. Most of these states get aids and grants from international organizations. So if Zamfara State is getting aids and grants for those in IDP camps, and most of them are coming to Lagos, let's have a conversation about these aids and grants that you're getting. How much are you going to give me to take care of the ones that are in my state?
Yes, because you're coming to think in your state. So Lagos has done a collaboration before that we saw how productive it was in the arrangement they had with Kebbi State. Right. So we had a lot of their people who would have also resorted to coming to Lagos for better life, resort to farming, and they had a productive life living there. So they can do this. If you had data, call out a state governor and say, okay, this is 100,000 of your people arriving in my state. And you have these aids to provide so. How much are you going to give? You call them out in the papers. We will sit here and help you criticize a lazy thinking governor that Oga creates employment within your state. Urban migration is not new. But you have to wrap up. You have to make your capitals within your state urban enough.
Final comments.
A state in time saves 9. If you don't deal with the problem now, you will deal with the bigger crisis in the next few years. So we cannot shift the goalpost of this issue. It needs to be dealt with. Whether we choose to deal with it now or next month or next year, this is a problem waiting to happen.
It gets bigger.
Okay, that's all we can take on this. When we come back, we'll bring in our guests. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.